What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel, and today we are going to be talking about the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray of Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And is it really worth the upgrade? Well, let's talk about it. So this is my fourth 4K review. I'm not seasoned. I'm not like Films at Home. So bear with me. If you see me looking to the side here, I'm looking at my notes because I want to be as in-depth and as detailed without rambling on for too long, because I did watch this movie 2 times in preparation for this video. First time was because I haven't seen the movie at all. I wanted to know the story, just drink it in. And the second time I wanted to fully analyze the image quality and everything with it. Yeah, I'm not going to ramble on too much. Story-wise, this is not going to be a review of the story, but my 2 cents on the story is it's okay. It's a weird movie. It's definitely watchable. Clocking in at around an hour and 22 minutes. It is very short. I didn't know this was directed by Andy Serkis. That was a very surprising fact. I'm not sure if the first one was directed by Andy Serkis, but this one definitely is. It's a weird movie. The plot is I did not like it whatsoever. It felt really kiddish and silly. Like if you're a person my age, 20, 21, 22, up to 30 years old, you watch SpongeBob, and this reminded me of a SpongeBob episode where those episodes of SpongeBob where SpongeBob and Patrick, they argue and they break up as friends, and then something brings them back together as one solid purpose. And then it's basically what that is, except for a fuck here, a couple shits, couple sons of bitches, and a biting off of a head. So besides that, what I give this? I give this a 2 out of 5. It's a fun watch. It's not that great of cinema, but again, with Venom and all that kind of stuff, you're not really expecting that kind of thing. I'm not here to talk about the plot. I'm here to talk about the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and whether it is worth it to upgrade about almost, I think, $5, $6, $7 from a standard Blu-ray to the 4K Blu-ray. And first off, I want to say that this is pretty sharp. There's a decent sharpness on close-ups, but I mean, it's clearly an upscaled 4K content again, because it's so heavily focused around CG. It's clear that it's a 4K upscale, and certain shots are a bit soft, but again, that could be the recording. But there's certain shots where, like, there's panning shots in between scenes that look so soft. I had to look at my the Blu-ray case just to make sure I wasn't playing the actual standard Blu-ray. There's certain scenes where there's rain droplets, and Brock tears at a certain point. He cries at a certain point. That looks really good. You can see the glisten of the rain droplets on his jacket, on the bike, on his face. Close-ups again look really good. Wrinkles, grease, dirt and grime under fingernails and that kind of stuff. They all look great. This is definitely a 4K movie. You can tell that this is 4K. But again, I feel like it feels like a filter was turned up. Like they took the movie, they put sharpness, and then they added a bit extra. And it kind of shows when you look at the CGI, and it looks very, because sometimes, they added a lot of motion blur in between like action shots, so you can't really get a good look at certain things, except for like when it's like a super heroic scene, then there's that. But yeah, I don't know. It's like it feels like the added sharpness, I feel like it takes away from the movie because it makes the CGI so apparent and stuff. So I didn't really like it. Like, there's a scene where Woody Harrelson and Shriek, I believe, so Carnage and Shriek, they break out of a prison, and you can see they're walking away from a fire, and it's just like the lines and the outlines of the fire look very computer generated-y, and it feels like they didn't even have actual fire on set. I don't know, I haven't watched the behind the scenes, but it feels like the fire is 100% CGI. So that was just the upfront image quality. Pretty good 4K, not the best, but now we're going to be talking about HDR, because HDR for a lot of people is the selling factor for a 4K film, especially one of this kind. And I want to start off by saying this movie, for the majority of it, takes place at night, and the blacks can actually be quite crushing. Like people's gripe when they talk about HDR is that sometimes the blacks are too black, and you really miss some details. It depends on the transfer. Here in this 4K, it does crush a bit. Some like it's not terrible, but you can still see some details. It's just that it's a bit too much, just a bit too black. You know, you're gonna miss out on some details if they just, you know, heightened it up a little bit, you know. But again, it's the overall it's okay. It's a very dark film, so you know. I think 2/3 of the film takes place at night, you know, and then the scenes that don't take place at night is like 5 minutes, and then they're inside buildings, so it doesn't really matter that much. Again, there's a scene at 17 minutes and 35 seconds I've noted where Eddie Brock gets a call from the girl. I forgot her name. Jenny, whatever her name is. And he's not swinging, but he's climbing the walls as Venom. And, you know, this is California, so there's going to be neon signs, billboards. And there's a scene where, you know, there's this bright blue neon sign shining on his face. And the blues look really good. That's what I want to say. The blues in this film look really good. When people are holding cell phones up to their face, the light illuminates from like the red end button and like the blue, and it shines their face very nicely. So I could give it that. Reds are kind of underutilized in this film, although there's certain times where it works, like the reds in people's faces. Like, as you can see, there's red in my face because there's blood in my face, right? So Woody Harrelson's character, because he's ginger, he has very pale skin. Even with Tom Hardy's face, you can see the blush in his cheeks. He has rosy cheeks, he has red in his face, which gives it that extra liveness that a lot of people, certain films, they kind of lack. I know a lot of people, don't like Blu-ray or DVDs because of the color, and they're super anal about 4Ks, is because when it comes to lifelike colors within people's faces, they look dead, or there's not enough life in their faces. You're not going to get that with this 4K. This is pretty good when it comes to that aspect of red in the face and making things feel lifelike. Towards the halfway, maybe a quarter way into the movie, Eddie Brock gets his bike broken and he gets a new one. It's very gaudy red, very red, and his helmet's red, and it's okay. There's certain scenes where he's driving, but again, a lot of it takes place at night. So half of the motorcycle is very dark. So you're not going to be able to see just that pure, deep, brilliant red, which I've seen in other, like I remember I praised the Mad Max 1. There's a scene with his wagon, his vacation wagon. It's very nice, deep, rich red like this. But in the actual, in Venom, it's always dark. So you're not going to be able to get that nice glistening red. But there is a caveat to that, because the backlights, the rear lights, that red looks really punchy and really nice. So there's that. HDR is not utilized well enough when it comes to this movie. I feel like they dropped the ball when it came to just the entire color gamut is not really worth an HDR. Like what I said with Beyond Thunderdome is that when HDR is there, it's pretty good. It's somewhat decent, but there's not enough of a color gamut to, you know, justify that wider color gamut when it comes to HDR. So blues are going to look good. Reds are going to look good. The blacks, again, are really overdoing it. But I mean, it's whatever. It takes away from the experience of this film because, you know, it's a CGI fest. So you're not going to get the best when it comes to image quality, when it comes to HDR-ness. There's a scene when Brock and Venom break up and Venom goes to this rave. That's the best. That's the most it goes to when it comes to really pushing the HDR. There's neon lights. He's wearing glow sticks or glow things around his neck. That looks okay, relatively okay. Now, when I was comparing it to the standard Blu-ray, it just blows it out of the water. When you look at the standard Blu-ray, it just looks like he's wearing lights with little tints of color. But in the 4K with the HDR, you're gonna see that full color of the actual light with the color in it. It looks really cool. Certain scenes, it is a sharp 4K. So when he's riding his motorcycle, when they shoot POV shots of his face, not POV shots, but when they have shots of his face and he's riding it, it looks so obvious that it's a green screen. So it kind of took me out of the film. Again, that whole party scene is really good, trying to convey that HDR with the blue lights, the neon lights, the reds and stuff. But again, it just feels like it could have done so much better when it came to the HDR. I feel like they just poured it on, and I feel like it could have done better. It's still good, but it just feel like it's lacking something. And one of my biggest gripes when it comes to this film is there's quite a few fires and explosions. It's just that there's CGI fires and explosions, so you're not going to get that richness and that depth and that just that sign of heat when it comes to a fire. Like Mad Max 1 and Road Warrior were absolutely beautiful when it came to explosions and fire. You can see undertones of red and yellow and orange and blue, not blue, but yellow and orange and red. But when it comes to the Venom, when there's no practical explosions, but from my eyes, what I've seen, it doesn't feel like there's any practical explosions. Just the fire is all yellow. It doesn't really convey the point that it's an actual fire or it's an actual explosion. So they're just not. There's no depth into it as compared to a real, fire, a real, practical effect of an explosion. Now, finally, we're getting to the sound. The sound is a Dolby Atmos track. Now, this is the most impressive thing about this film, is that the audio is a bit wonky when it comes to certain things. Now, again, I don't have a huge 7.1 setup. I do have surround, but it's just it doesn't really convey to me. But you can get the gist of what it is. It's definitely surround. You're gonna get overtones of front, then back, then side. So that's really good. Venom's voice is so gritty and bassy. It's gonna work out your subwoofer. So if you have a good quality subwoofer, you have a good quality speakers, this is gonna be a very nice film to watch. Explosions and stuff like that don't really convey, but talking, for some reason, the talking sounded so crisp, so rich, so deep. It felt, like when you watch Howard Stern and his voice is like super deep and bassy, and it has all that stuff like that. It's kind of like that throughout the movie. So Tom Hardy's voice and Venom's voice are very punchy and rich and velvety and deep and all that kind of thing. So the audio is really good on this. There are certain times where I had to put the volume up and then put the volume down again and then put the volume up again, because some people's voices were like rattling my sound system and my subwoofer. But then other scenes, it was so I had to turn that down for that scene. But then when it came to another scene with somebody talking or things in the background, I had to put the volume back up because I couldn't barely hear anything. 4K, great. HDR, sound is good. Now the big question of the day, is this worth the added $5, $6, $7, $8 from upgrading it from a Blu-ray to a 4K? Honestly, it really depends on your fandomship of superhero films or Venom films. Or if you're a fan of Venom, yes, there is definitely an appearance. There's definitely an obvious upgrade when it comes to image quality, when it comes to sharpness, when it comes to HDR. Audio wise, kind of, 5.1, I'm good with 5.1. So I'm not a super huge audiophile, but I can understand why people would like it and why there's a huge upgrade. It's okay. It's a decent upgrade. But again, if you don't care about the character of Venom, you don't really understand. If someone's like, oh, you gotta check out modern 4K movies because it's so sharp and stuff like that, this is definitely not the film that you would expect. I was expecting a higher quality in, not filmmaking, but at least just sharpness and image quality. Again, side by side with Blu-ray, it is definitely worth an upgrade. But, by itself, if you're just trying to get into the film, because again, this isn't the best movie ever made. I got it because I had Venom 1 on 4K, and I'm a completionist, I'm an asshole, and I'm a weird guy. I have OCD about these things, so I had to get it on 4K with a slip because I couldn't get the steelbook. I think it was worth it for me. I like Venom. I thought it was a fun movie. Comparing it to the Blu-ray, it definitely is an upgrade. Is it the most upgrade worth almost $10? I don't know. So I would say image quality, I would give it around a 6.5 out of 10. It's definitely sharp. It definitely has that, 4K factor. But again, there's certain scenes that are soft, wide shots that are not that good because it is a full screen movie. So you're going to be able to see everything. It's not compressed down. so there is a lot of there's a lot of limit for error. HDR is really abysmal. I would give it I want to say a 4.5 or even a 5, because when the HDR is good, the blues look really good and velvety smooth. Reds can look okay. I was expecting Carnage to look a lot more richer, deeper, and redder. But again, maybe that's just the art direction of what they went for. Venom, more fleshy, not as vibrant red. I was kind of disappointed because he looks pretty vibrant on the color and on the cover, but when you actually watch it, he's not as red. He's a bit salmony, but yeah, the reds kind of disappoint me because I was expecting a lot more deeper and richer reds, especially when older movies are blowing the reds out of the water. It didn't convey that this is a 4K and a must-own transfer. It's okay. HDR, I would say a 4.5. It fails on most points because, again, this movie barely has any spectrum of color gamuts when it comes to things because it's so dark. It's such a dark film. There's spurts and moments of, reds and, neon lights and outdoor lights and, even like when the cop cars go by, you don't get that gaudy blue and red, flaring up like you did in Mad Max. This is more diluted, more dulled down. So that's why I say I would not recommend the upgrade. If you're just a 4K enthusiast, you're not gonna like this film. It's definitely a miss when it comes to 4K in general. If you're a Venom fan, if you're a superhero enthusiast, I would say you should get this because this is the best quality you can get for this film. Because again, I thought it was a okay transfer. It was a less than stellar transfer, but comparing it to the standard Blu-ray, it does a lot better. There's definitely a lot of sharpness, and you're definitely going to get that 4K quality. It's just the things that make 4K really good, like HDR and all that stuff, it just doesn't hit the mark with that. But the audio is what saves this film. The audio is great. It is definitely going to work out your subwoofers, and it's going to work out your sound system. So for that alone, it is definitely worth an upgrade. But again, if you're not a fan, don't get it. Anyways, that was my review. Thank you so much for watching another video of mine. This is my one of my first reviews, so bear with me. I'm not the most professional, but I just wanted to give my opinion on I'm just normal Joe. I'm one of you guys, and I spent my hard-earned money on this, and I want to let you my opinion on it because some people can't get it, or some people are on the fence, and I would say meh, meh. So that was my opinion. I would say audio is a 7.5, almost to 8. I would say it's 8. Audio is great. Image quality is okay, 6.5. It's just barely above average. HDR is a 4.5 because there's not enough of a color gamut to display what HDR does. So that is it. I'm Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please, thank you for watching the video of mine. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And please comment down below. Let me know, do you have Venom on 4K? What did you guys think about it? I haven't seen the first Venom movie on 4K. I've only seen it on Blu-ray, and that looked okay. A lot of people said it was a pretty good transfer, so I might actually go back and look at it. I'm not gonna review it, but I'll definitely take a look at it with my brother because he hasn't even seen any of the Venom movies. But yeah, let me know down below. Was this worth the pickup? I feel like it is because it completes my collection. I'm a collector and all that stuff. But let me know down below. What do you guys think of the transfer? And yeah, so I'm Mace from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please have a good day, night, evening, afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Please stay safe. God bless and cheers, guys. Venom.
Woke up this morning, got some gabagoo. And then I woke up the next day and got some gabagoo.